Okay, Corné, you can start.
Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are located. To you all, good to have so many participants in this webinar from all around the world. As the chair of Atlas, I'm very honored to welcome you to this Atlas student webinar on employability within the tourism industry, organized also as a closing part of an Atlas internship project. For those of you who are not that familiar with Atlas, since its establishment around 35 years ago, Atlas has always been aiming to be at the forefront of promoting knowledge exchange and bringing together researchers, students, and practitioners who share a commitment to shaping the future of tourism. So we aim to support the next generation of tourism professionals, and that's at the heart of our mission. And I think that's exactly what today's webinar is all about. The tourism industry is changing rapidly, driven by digitalization, sustainability developments, labor shortages, and international mobility trends. And many students graduate with a strong theoretical knowledge, but sometimes a bit of limited insight into what employers are actually looking for. And today's webinar therefore aims to bridge the gap between academic learning and professional practice. And the goal today is to offer you some practical insights, career advice, and industry perspectives, knowledge that can put you into action than rather mainly theoretical discussion. So hopefully after this webinar, you can better understand the current industry expectations, gain some relevant experience during your studies, and prepare for your future careers in tourism. So I'm delighted that today we have three experienced professionals and researchers from international tourism projects related to skills, careers, and employability. They will be introduced later to you on this webinar by our moderator. So I'm very much looking forward to their contributions and to the discussions that will follow. And on behalf of the Atlas Board and Association, I wish you all a stimulating and insightful webinar. And now I'm pleased to hand over to our moderator, Sini Motyar from Technological University Dublin. So may I wish you an enjoyable webinar and join a great discussion. Thank you all, and over to Sini now. Enjoy the webinar. Thank you.
Corné, and welcome everybody from morning time here in Ireland. I'm very pleased that you're joining us. We have a big range of people who have registered from 16 countries, so all sorts of different time zones. And I think that shows the relevance of this webinar as a very topical issue, and particularly at a time when graduates are maybe starting to look for employment and thinking about what skills it is that they have or that they need to develop or that they want to be promoting and that they have to potential employers. So we have three experts here joining us today, taking different perspectives and different angles on the whole issue of employability within the tourism industry. And I'm going to introduce each of them. They're going to speak for about 15 minutes, and then we have time for questions and answers. So please feel free to put into the chat questions as they occur to you, and we'll have plenty of time at the end then to talk about them. So the first person who's going to speak to us is Lobke Elbers, and she is a senior researcher and developer and innovator in Breda University, and she is very involved in a number of different research projects to do with this area of employability, and in particular in the PANTOUR project. And she's going to talk to us about the really important issues about skills gaps and digital skills, communication, the sorts of skills that our employers are looking for most in graduates. So thank you, Lobke.
Thank you for this wonderful introduction while I share my screen. I love to be here. And it's, of course, big topic, so to say, right? So when we talk about what tourism employees actually look for in graduates, it varies a lot, but also not so really. So I would like to take you along with some of the findings that we had in the research. And I'm drawing from different research projects that I've been involved in. So like you heard in my introduction, I'm involved in different European projects, and 3 of them are PANTOUR, Future Alliance, and Facilitate, all focusing on skills development in tourism. And skills development is logically indicator of where the tourism sector goes to and what kind of skills are needed in the tourism sector, and then what employers look for when they hire new graduates. I'm also chair of Hospitality Pact, that is a collaboration between all kinds of hospitality organizations in the Netherlands, and there we also focus on labor market issues and challenges. And I'm also a human capital researcher for Center of Expertise in Leisure Tourism and Hospitality. So a lot of what I do is has to do with human capital, with the future of talents, talent development, and future careers. So I'm happy to be here today again. So to start off with, what is employment anyways these days? We see a lot of trends, developments that are deciding and indicating what kind of direction employment is going through, because the future of work is changing, just like the future of education is changing. Basically, you could say that employment needs to, employers are also looking at ways to be future-proof. And a lot of research has been done on that, but also a lot of research can be done on this. And in the Netherlands, I was active on this topic. What is future-proof employment? And I did not focus solely on the Dutch scope because I wanted to see this. What is future-proof employment anyway, right? What do organizations move towards to? Because that's also says something about the talents and the graduates they might look for. So I dove deep in the literature and I found 7 standards for future-proof employment, and I've listed them here. And if you look at these 7 categories or 7 standards, you could also indirectly see what is useful or what is needed from graduates to work in the tourism field. So when employers give you a lot of trust, it means that employees or graduates can also have a lot of autonomy and space for self-organization. So trust means also more responsibilities. If you can take it, you can get it. Second is agility. So being flexible, being able to respond to changes in the market, to have different roles and work processes. Employers are looking at this for them to organize this way because they know that also next tourism generation professionals are looking for this. But that means for graduates also, how can I be agile? Can I be flexible in a structure, or can I work around with a lot of freedom as well? The third one is a very interesting one and also not new to you, probably, at least I hope, because more and more attention is given to inclusivity and diversity, also in education, but almost in every sector, this is a key point. So that means that, especially in the tourism sector, we already know what it is to value differences in background, in culture, in rituals, but the perspective also draws back to opportunities for everyone, also within every organization. And inclusivity and diversity is also a skill set, right? Being able to communicate cross-cultural or enhancing the opportunities for everyone in the organization. Employers are working around this topic very intensely. Number 4, sustainability. It's not only about ecological improvements, but also social and economical. So this is all about sustainability in the broadest form, in the broadest way possible within organizations, but also within sustainability practices, of course, in the tourism sector. The 5th point is a bit of common responsibility because the employer can foster a learning culture, can offer lots of training and development opportunities, but it is, of course, to the graduate, to the professional, to look for space for personal and professional development and how you would like to train yourself and where you would like to train yourself. So being open for that learning and development is a key characteristic as well for graduates. And then 6th, this is a really nice one, I think, because we see that next tourism generation professionals are focusing a lot on purpose and having meaningful work, being proud of what they do, being proud of the company they are part of, and also being happy with the team they are working with. It's usually the why of the work. And when a lot of organizations are, moving forward to more purposeful and meaningful work, it helps, of course, when you see yourself as well aligned with that, with values, with societal challenges and opportunities that there are. And the seventh one is transparency and participation. So more and more organizations are going into less hierarchy and more into decision making on all kind of levels, leadership where employees can also play a role in, and they are actually co-owners of an organization's purpose. So these are trends that are on employer level, but it indicates directly what is useful to be aware of as a fresh graduate. Right. In the projects I've been involved in, I did a lot of research together with my colleagues. Some of them are here today, about skills development. Skills development is the leading topic, actually, I would say, in these projects. And we identified, first of all, 3 skill sets, but in COVID, we developed a 4th more pillar. Let me talk about this very shortly, because we divided it in 4 pillars, and that is based on the digital and green transition of the European Commission. The European Commission developed a document about the future of tourism and the tourism transition pathway, and that is all about digital and green transition. And that means something for organizations, but even more for employees. So social skills. Employers value graduates who bring strong interpersonal and communication skills. So cross-cultural understanding, customer service orientation. These are qualities that are quite critical and also quite unique to the tourism sector because we are built on a personalized service. And social skills become even more important when digital skills are rising through AI and digitalization. There is a risk that some technologies take over some of the work, but more emphasis is going on social skills when more digital tools are in the game. So when it comes to digital skills, of course, employers are looking for graduates with digital literacy and some knowledge or adaptability to apply technologies for online marketing or analytics, AI, robotics, but still also not more than social skills. So these are equally relevant, I would say, in the future. When we look about the trends on sustainability, also green skills, of course, are more and more important because they expect graduates to understand what it is to handle a sustainable organization and to be able to apply these in everyday tourism operations. So what are the principles? What kind of initiatives are there? I will talk about, for example, a sustainability manager profile later on. And like I said, in the time of COVID, a 4th pillar came with it because COVID had a lot of impact on tourism organizations. And that means that also resilience is very important. And that means for graduates that you're adaptable, able to respond to large skill shifts or new tasks that are driven by automation and AI. And it all requires a bit of flexibility, willingness to keep learning, willingness to be part of it, and to have the confidence to work on your own, of course, together with a team. So, like I said before, high tech and high empathy are more and more important in the tourism sector. Well, some of the tasks will be taken over by technology. I spoke to a lot of employers and they said, well, of course, high tech is taking over maybe sometimes some work, but that means that the focus is really on empathy that only human can do because human can interpret, humans can connect, and humans can understand and give attention, true attention. So the focus is really shifting towards a high tech and a high empathy sector. And these are skills that are not just a personal trait, right, to be able to have empathy, but these are skills that can be learned. And it also means that when we talk about learning of systems, there are a lot of systems in the tourism sector to be learned in different kind of roles. But most important is people understanding. Do you understand what the customer wants? Do you understand what kind of needs or what kind of messages are underneath the wishes of the consumer or the guests? And that means that I can perfectly learn a system, but to learn my guest or to learn my visitor, to learn my client just in front of me, that's where it starts. Because then you can use all the information that you have and put it in a system. But first comes people understanding. And that also means that more and more employers are looking for polyvalent employees, like they say. So someone from reception should be able to execute tasks in food and beverage, for example. This is a really easy example, but are you able also to provide a cup of coffee? And of course, this depends on the kind of subsector in tourism you are in, but polyvalent employees come from a development where people look more into skills. So what is your skill? Instead of, I have this job for you. So when you have your first conversation, it is really important to talk about your current knowledge, your current skills, your current experience, and then often employers will look for kind of job roles that fit best with your profile, with your passport actually. And my colleague Klaus will talk later about this because we have developed a really amazing tool for this, how to assess it. But be aware that your skills are also deciding what kind of jobs will fit you best. Be aware of that. And like I said before, soft skills are a key competence. No tourism sector without these soft skills. And that also means that in positioning yourself as a tourism professional, a lot of employers have also some ideas in what the vision and position of their organization is. So a tour operator once said, we don't sell holiday, we sell knowledge. And that's knowledge about the destination, things you can do, things about the culture, the people, the language, maybe even. So it's a different kind of approach. And I think it's good for tourism graduates to be aware of what you're actually doing and what is actually the goal of the organization you want to work for.
That's 13 minutes, okay?
Yes, I know this. Thank you. So I listed some job roles that are new into the field. We researched into the Panther project what kind of job roles are emerging, and I said that job roles become more fluid and we have more combined roles. But of course, there are some examples where these roles are needed to be specialized in. So growth in your job doesn't always mean specialization, because sometimes you can grow to learn more skills and to be broaden yourself, but sometimes it means specialization. And I highlighted here the 11 job profiles that come from decent research, and I highlighted the words in green, which I think are can be related to skills or what you can develop when you want a career in tourism. So I highlighted a few, such as sustainability, data, inclusivity, digital, experience and emotion designer, AI. Like all these highlights say something about the direction where work in tourism goes towards to. And in the end, I have a link where you can look these up on what it means. So to conclude my story, it's an individual process, of course. When you are graduated, you start your career in tourism, but it's always not an individual game. As soon as you start working within an organization, especially organization nowadays, they are transforming themselves into cross collaboration platforms, actually. So instead of an individual process, it's always a shared, common and goal. And it is up to your skills and up to your wishes where you see yourself best fit in. And that also means that you can work with generation AI, but also with generations from different kind of ages. People that are younger than you, maybe in the future, but now also people that are older than you and more experienced. So thank you for that, and thank you for allowing me to share some of the insights. And if you have any questions, then please drop them in the chat.
Thanks, Alka. That was really interesting and really important, of course, for students to think like an employer. What is it that the employer is looking for? And you've given us a great insight into that. So thanks very much. I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions and discussion. I know I already have some for the end. So the next person I want to welcome is Alti Nassi, who is from the Saturn University of Applied Sciences in Finland. And he brings a wealth of experience working on a range of different projects as well, to talk to us about how students can build industry-ready experiences during their studies and how they can use this to help them to gain employment. So thanks, Attila, and I'll give you the 12-minute warning as well.
Thank you so much. I'm speaking from Finland, so we're already on the side of I think it's 12:20 now. So good afternoon, everyone, from my side. I'd like to start off with just having very quickly to show who I am. My experience from tourism comes from Lapland. I started off when I was doing my master's in the University of Lapland. I started off as a guide with Santa Claus, reindeer, huskies, and all that. Some of you might have been in Rovaniemi and met those wonderful elves. I was one of those. And at the same time, I was working for Lapland Center of Expertise because I wanted to tie my master's thesis with tourism industry, and we were creating a meaningful experience triangle. And the purpose of that was to kind of look deeper into what a meaningful experience actually is, and what kind of things does it consist of: stories, learning, and these kind of things. As I finished, I already did some visits also to Austria as a white water rafting guide, and also mountain biking and so on, climbing. And so at the end of when I finished my studies, I was asked to go to base camp Oulanka, which is in Ruka, also up in north of Finland. And they had just fired the former CEO, and they said, you can come here as a guide, but we're looking for a new manager for the whole company, which was a destination management company, so a DMC. And I said, okay, with zero experience of managing. And so that's kind of like where I had got my experience of tourism. Later, I worked for the Finnish Red Cross for 10 years, and then I started working with my PhD. I'm also a co-founder of an electric jet ski company called Viva. So we have started creating an electric jet ski to prevent, I hate the sound that the jet skis make, and the petrol and the oil that is spilled in the water. So we try to solve that problem by creating a company. So I know a little bit of also startups and starting businesses. So that's shortly about me. But how I kind of wanted to look at this whole question of what I'm speaking about is that what would be a good approach to this whole question? I decided to divide it into 5 different slides. Those are the slides I will show you. The thing, what makes this very interesting is the fact that not in Finland, but I know that in Central Europe, they made a big study about the careers of people, where people work, how they get their first job, where they go next. And they tried to find common nominators, that what determines how people's careers advance. What are the key factors how careers are built? And they tried it for years, and the only answer that was given was everything happens by chance, so it's random. You cannot name things that really determine how your career will work. And so based on that, those studies, I'm kind of, thinking that I don't know if there is a one turnkey solution, that this is how you determine where your career will go. Of course, if you study something, that will probably determine somewhat of the field that you'll be working with. But after that, if you all look at your own careers, everyone who is now online, you see that from going from one place to another, oh, I met that person there and she recommended me there and so on and so on. Oh, and then that happened. Well, that was a coincidence that I went there. So we see that, yeah, the chance, that's a huge part of it. The only thing before I go into these 5 places are that, of course, I won't go very deep into these, but I think these are maybe some of the 6 most important things that if you want to get more experience, of course, work is one, internships and trainees, that's another. You know that there is a possibility of starting your own business now because we have existing marketing channels and applications that you can upload. Like, for example, Airbnb is a good example where you can rent your own apartment, but you can also sell your own services. For example, if you know a place well and you want to work as a guide, you can share that. Like I told everyone, I did the thing of tying my thesis, my master's thesis, to an organization working with travel industry. So that would be a way to get expertise on a certain topic. Of course, you can go as a volunteer, travel somewhere to work with travel related things. And of course, within your own schools, you probably have many different Erasmus projects and so on that will help you also gain experience from abroad. But now going on to those 5 things that I said, I think number one that I would really put up there as an important thing is that when you're looking for a job, I'm just going to give you a quick story. I met a restaurant owner just a few weeks ago, and she said that she has quite many applicants coming straight from school that they have been learning restaurant management. And they apply for a restaurant management position straight from school. And when they start discussing with the restaurant owner, there is obviously a gap between, coming straight from the bench of the school to managing a restaurant, and when you're a restaurant owner, before that will ever happen, the restaurant owner wants to know who that person is, if they're capable of managing a restaurant, and then it's very important for you guys to know all the specific detailed things that are within the restaurant. And I put here kind of like a division with the needs of the organization and kind of like the wishes and goals of the job seeker. And I remember once when I was also working for Basecamp Oulanka in Lapland, I had many applicants coming to me saying they wanted to be as guides. They said, I love being into nature. I love nature. I do a lot of hiking and so on. But for me, as the manager of the company, I'm not so interested in those people if they love to be in the nature. Yeah, we all love to be in the nature. What I'm actually interested in is that, are you good with my customers? Are you able to give them wonderful experiences? Are you able to solve their problems? So kind of also how you present your thing, and how kind of like the question is, what are you giving to the company rather than what are your wishes? I think this is something, an important thing. Also, coming from building from bottom up, is that when I was a guide, I think the most important thing is that I put some of the things down there, kind of like understanding just the basic things that the company is doing, understanding kind of like the staff language and so on. But after working first as a guide and just doing basic things, when I went to other companies, I started, and I kind of advanced to being first a smaller, a leader of a team, and then at the end I was a manager. I kind of knew what sort of things were not working on the ground. Like when guides were working, because I was working as a guide myself, I knew what the real problems were. So it helped me in developing the company. So my second kind of theme here would be that it's good to start from the bottom and not go directly up, but kind of know everything that happens on the ground, so to say, and the first level work. Number three, my thing that I wanted to bring up here is that in tourism, there are many things where we look for special skills and special things. So for example, when you come to Lapland, ice fishing would be something that you need to master to be a good guide. And I know that in each country you have your specific things that you need special knowledge and know-how. And if I'd be a student now, I would look for those specialities and kind of like the superpowers where I'd be better than anyone else. And I think because the competition for jobs is really high at the moment, the more specialized you are, of course, you have to know the basic things, but if you have special knowledge, special know-how, you'll be stronger in that competition. So this is just something that I kind of may be AI, may be help in marketing, may be customer support, whatever it is. I think that's important. Number four, this was about the seasons. When I was working as a guide in Lapland for summer, it went really down. There weren't that many visitors. I don't know if it's because in Lapland there are lots of mosquitoes in the summer. So what I did was I went to Central Europe for July and August because the season was there. So for example, I went to Austria near Innsbruck to be a whitewater rafting guide, and back to Lapland for winter, of course, for my studies, but then people came to see Santa Claus in the winter. So kind of looking at Europe from that perspective, that in different places there is a season at different times. And it requires maybe from you that if you want to work in the tourism industry and get even, a job all year around, it might require moving from one place to another. And I guess, as the last thing, Lobge was already talking about the soft skills. I put them a little bit more in detail because these are some of the things that are important when I was working as a manager and still as a team leader here at the university. I guess if we look at the internal soft skills kind of things that I put the four, I noticed, I'm just saying, and without names, I see that with some people, there's, if there's problems within the team, you have the same people always in the center of the problem. And then if there's problems, there are other people that you don't. So I'm just saying that in a way, for someone looking for workforce, I think they'd be more interested in looking at people who are able to solve problems rather than create problems. Active listening is very a good value or a good way to go forward. I think one of the main problems is people are just talking, but they're not actually listening, whereas listening would be kind of the first step of finding solutions for problems. Emotional intelligence, I think I'm kind of old school in that way, that I think that when you go to work, it's for work, and bringing your own personal problems to work. Sorry, I'm old fashioned in that way, but I kind of think that because you get paid for what you're working with, I think, for example, as a guide, I know that for the company or the organization that you're working for, they're expecting you to perform every day the same way. There's a new group coming every week. If one week you're the superstar and the next week you're not, you're, desperate and complaining and things are not working, I think that might create a problem. And then, of course, teamwork and collaboration is something that's very important to find solutions together, because it's all about teamwork. I probably won't go into details that much about with the customers. I would just say that, the time management part and kind of the leadership of really being on top of whatever you are working with is very important. For example, that when people are on a holiday, kind of getting that feeling to the customers that we're not in a hurry and everything is cool, and we're on a vacation and everything's fine, but at the same time in the background keeping the time so that we're not late from everywhere is very important. And also maybe this thing that I put like work ethic, if you see trash, if you see things are not working, if something is missing, is it so that you're just like, I don't care, or is it something that you fix, even if it's not even your task to do so? I think that's very, very valuable. And the last thing with this is that, just as Lopke said, people use these digital applications to reserve the trip. I think it's important that when they arrive to the destination, I'm not sure people are so interested in spending the holiday with mobile phones and applications and digital devices. I think what they're looking for is like human connection, sticking your toes in the sand, smelling the sea, whatever it is that they really want, that kind of experiences. Thank you for this. I didn't have anything else to say here. Maybe 2 minutes before time, but that was my presentation. Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much, Alti. And I hope everybody in the audience is thinking about what their superpower is, which I think is a lovely way of highlighting the importance of that and differentiating ourselves. So we'll have time for questions at the end as well. And so I want to call on the last person who's going to speak to us, which is Klaus Elrich. Thank you for joining us, Klaus. And Klaus is the Secretary General of the European Federation of Rural Tourism, and he's a member of expert groups and consultative bodies of the European Commission related to tourism. And so he's going to use that background and wealth of knowledge to talk to us about self-assessment and career planning, which I think will be really useful. Thanks, Klaus.
Hello, good morning. In Christmas times, I would say, hi, Alti, you were my employee because, Klaus, Santa Claus, seems you worked for me at some point. But in summertime, I'm based in Spain, so the German name is a bit misleading because I've been living in Spain for 41 years. I will, of course, share my presentation. Here we go. You should see this now. Some personal background as well, which I didn't make a slide, but just to confirm what Alti said, and I will come to this in a second as well. I traveled as a student hitchhiking around Europe. I went to the lost places. I liked tourism, but never thought about working in it. I studied economics, business administration. I went to Spain for a field work for a PhD on regional development. Then I found out that a lot of things in rural areas were working suboptimal with many resources unexploited. So I moved into rural development. From rural development, I came to tourism. I came to rural tourism. I came to countryside tourism. I set up or co-created a regional organization in Andalusia 35 years ago, developing inland rural tourism. This became a member of the European Federation. I moved there. I was a partner in a EU project where, luckily enough, the task was to organize skills at national level. This brought me to the Tourism Large-Scale Partnership, which I'm coordinating. So you see, this was never planned. As Alti said, it was never planned. It just happens. So some generics before I will present you the Skills Lab as a practical tool. Widely, what you see here in some generics is summing up what both Lopke and Alti already commented. One important point, and I know this is a bit frustrating for tourism students, but especially in the small scale services, you have a lot of people that never had any tourism training that entered from beside. They may have some related training. They may have some training in law. They may have training in service, in selling, in economics, in business administration, but they're very much transversal. And what is the point? Why are they successful? You have this sentence, and this is something we took out from the research some 6 years ago with one of the European projects. When we talk with employers, especially the small and medium companies, not the big ones. I'm not talking about Hilton hotels, airlines, chains, etc. You talk with a small hotel entrepreneur, family-run hotel entrepreneur. Of course, he wants some basic training. Of course, it's useful. But then you have this phrase, I look for their attitude. All practical things they need to know. In my company, in my business, they will learn on the job. I will teach them. So the attitude, flexibility, social skills, as was already commented, adaptability is absolutely core. So some other practical things as we talk about career. The important thing is to get a foot in the door. Everybody asks for experience. What did you do? Where did you work? Okay, well, be aware the first job will be well paid and you will do the least attractive job in the company. That's where everybody started. Everybody started there. And if they did not, they will usually not get very far. So get a foot in the door, get some practice, even if it's 2 weeks, but you can accredit ABC. I worked there, I worked there, I worked there. Everybody knows that these jobs are short term. Don't be afraid if it's just 2 or 3 weeks, but you learn a lot, especially in the service industry, serving people, being with people. Alti gave a very good example as a tour guide. Your company expects you to be 100% every day. Your problems stay at home. When you are with a visitor, he's a client. He makes the whole company, business, whatever is going. And that's the one that you have to be attentive to. Next point is, of course, contacts. That works perfectly. Nowadays, it's social media, but it's still associations, LinkedIn's, be active in forums. If you have any special interest, go to special forums, participate there, find contacts, get new ideas. Don't stay in your tourism training and just do what the tourism training, what the teacher asks you and pass exams. That's not enough. It's fine, it's good, you'll find a job, but you'll never progress. Another point also, Alti mentioned, there's a season somewhere on the world. The typical thing are ski instructors. They work in European winter in the Alps, and in Southern Hemisphere winter, they work in Chile, Argentina, in the skiing areas. They jump 8,000, 10,000 kilometers, but they find a job. Next thing, find your niche, also commented before, I think. Don't try to be good in everything. Impossible. Tourism is a specialized job, and the more specialized and excellent you are in one area, the more successful you will be in this one area. Thanks to internet, visibility, if you're good, is there automatically, because if you're good, it goes viral. It works with your mouth to your propaganda of your visitors, and you will find your clientele. But be good in one area, maybe in two if you're a good person, a very good professional. But don't try to embrace everything, because it doesn't work. If you do everything like what everybody does, copy what somebody else besides does, you'll be 1 out of 100 or 1,000. That's not enough to be visible. It's like an iceberg, you know? You must be in the top 10%. So this means you must be really good. And the last thing, Liam message, if you look for a 9-to-5 job, 8 hours, Monday to Friday, tourism is not for you. Tourism is a job where you have to work when others have holiday or free time. As clear as that. What is the counterpart of this? It gives you a huge opportunity to meet a lot of people, have a lot of fun, have a flexibility. You can take off when others have to work. That's the other part of it. Of course, it's a matter of compatibility, work-life balance. It gets more complicated if you get a family, have kids, but even then it works. It's a matter of getting organized. And I think the younger generation is also more looking at this self-satisfying aspect, as long as the money is there, of course. I mean, I'm not saying you need to exploit yourself, but if you have the attitude, if you have this wish to have a flexible job, have a job that has to do with people, with cultures, with interaction, then tourism is for you. If you want a standard job, go to the public administration, have a functionary job, it's better for you. So that's some generics, which I just wanted to point out. And now let's go. Well, I go back a second here. If you are on the screen, please scan this QR code you have here or type in the link that you see, because this is what we will go through in a very quick walkthrough. I think I have 10 minutes left or something like this. So this will do to give you a quick glance for a self-assessment tool that we generated, which is the Tourism Skills Lab. I will only go through the workforce part. We have designed this for 3 groups: workforce, employees, SMEs, and training institutions. But here, I understand we're talking with students, with future employees. So I'll only through this. We have a couple of functionalities. The first one is a general overview. I'll skip this and jump directly on the skills profiles, where you create your own profile, find gaps, compared with where you want to work, and how do your skills that you create in the skills profiles stand with it, match it with the position of what fits best, and then also where to improve skills. So I will change my screen and go online. So one moment. I need to share the other screen. That's it. So if you scanned the QR, we had an issue if somebody's on a mobile. We had an issue that it didn't allow login on a mobile. I hope this is solved. I need to talk with the programmer. Otherwise, if you are on a PC, you go to login, and you see you can either have a profile if you're registered, or you can enter with your Google account, which is what I will do here, or with Microsoft if you have a Microsoft account. So I will enter, and here I am. So main menu, the home, which gives you general explanations, sections, resources, user type. That's again the 3 groups I commented. There's a special chapter on training offers. There's a special chapter on events. By the way, when you go to events, you see our webinar is on the list. So if somebody used this, he found the announcement of our webinar. But I will go to the tab or options for employees and job seekers. Other groups have a different menu that will appear when they click on this one, but you will see this. These are the options you have on the Skills Lab. And the first step is create your skills profile. If you're new, I suggest you go to the questionnaire. What does the questionnaire do? The questionnaire creates your skill as simplified profile. We have a total of 35 skills that you need to you can self-categorize yourself where you stand. But the questionnaire makes it easier because you just answer a couple of questions. I will do this just at random now so you see how it works. I don't read what I'm clicking on. I'm just showing you blindly what it does. So we go through these questions. And based on the replies you gave here, you have a first profile. You can repeat this at this point, or you go to your full profile. Now I go here because it will show you what was created. As you find here, we have headers. So the 35 skills are grouped into clusters. And what we did with the quick version, we just filled in the same value for the same cluster. So now, once you are here, you can say, okay, now I fine-tune this. Like, for example, here, now I'm in level 3. So these are EQF levels, which means 3 is just let's say high school finishing, while 5 is a vocational education, and 6 would be a bachelor, 7 would be a master, and 8 would be a PhD. So we can fine-tune this, and then you just go down and you save it. Or you can download it as an Excel file, which is useful if you want to keep a record at home. But once you logged in, this profile will appear the next time you log out and you log in again, and this profile is stored with your name. So you just save it. And then we go to the next step. Now we have our profile. Now what we're interested in, that's where I stand. But I want a specific job somewhere. So here I select in the top, I want to work in accommodation. I don't want to work in a large enterprise, I want to work in a small enterprise. And administration service at operations level. And now I see, in general, the colored ones are the requirements, and the green ones are what you have. And this is just the opposite, because it should be the opposite here. It should be EQF below is red and enough is green. So I will need to talk to the programmer with this. This was correct before, so it was changed for some reason. So with the profile I created for this job as an administration service in a small enterprise and accommodation, I'm fully qualified because my qualification is above. This is required, and this is what I have. Okay, so this is in general, but I can break it down by the different skills, and I can break it down to each skill. So as you see, everywhere in all, here it's correct. You see here the green is your EQF is enough, so I'm green everywhere. Of course, if I go to the management level, it looks different. So I'm qualified as a normal worker, but I'm not qualified as a sometimes not qualified. You see these red ones. I'm not qualified for some of the skills that are required when I work at the management level. So this tells me where do I need to reskill, which brings us to the next. These are the gaps.
It's about 1 minute left, Klaus.
Okay, so next option then, just you keep this, you store this, you know where to look. And with my profile, I can also find what would be the best. Let's go to a medium enterprise. And I want to go again to administration services. And it tells me with my profile, what would be the best job available in an administration service, in a medium enterprise, in accommodation. So this gives me the score. And you see, I still need to train everywhere because I'm not 100% in all of them. So that's another thing that tells me where I stand. So this is basically a quick walkthrough. There are other options based on the gaps. You can find training materials. We have 2 options, training materials that are stored on the system, which are more templates, and others which is under construction because it depends on external feed of real training offers online, MOOC courses, etc., master courses, recycling, reskilling, upskilling that are put on the system. For this one, you have here proposed content. If anyone by chance works in a training institution, you can add training offers here in the system. So they would appear then and would be selected depending on the gap that are detected by the user. So I stop sharing this. I have just one last slide in my presentation, and then we're done. So if I'm a second over, so we went through this. Just to complete the picture, this is one tool, which is a bit complicated, but very helpful to go down at a level of individual, 35 different skills. So you can have a quite specific result or where you need to train. But there are other tools on the market or available. I just checked two of them. One is from partner project Touring Self-Assessment. Another pretty good one is Discover Tourism in Canada. And if you ask for self-assessment tools for tourism employment in Google and it's AI or in ChatGPT or in Claude or whatever tool you're using, you find a lot more. They're not very fine-tuned, so you need to check several ones. But my suggestion is definitely try this one I just presented you, because this is specifically for new skills in tourism. But play around with several other tools, because none of the tools, we have to say, none of them is perfect. Each has its part where you can learn something about more where you stand and where you need to do a bit more to get a qualification that is required in a job. Regardless that, as I said before, it mostly depends on your initiative, on your personality, on your wish and your attitude to work in our beautiful tourism sector. Thank you very much.
Very much, Klaus. Thank you. Really useful tool there for all the participants and to go and work through and help them identify where their gaps are, and then also able to address them, which is great. So maybe I might ask Lobke and Alti to maybe put back on their cameras if that's okay, and we might just enter into discussion and questions and answers. So Dominika, you organized this session, so well done for organizing it. And I know that you have been keeping an eye on the chat in YouTube and also here. So are there any questions that are coming through there?
No, actually, there is one question from one of our audience that they would like to have contact with you, everybody. How they can do that, actually? So they want to have a personal contact or some questions from you directly.
So I guess we can distribute emails. Would the panel be happy with that?
That's fine, and with me, with LinkedIn is fine. I'll check it out like every week.
Super.
Okay.
I put my email in the chat right now.
Thanks, Klaus. That's great. And maybe while people are still thinking about questions, maybe I might ask a question that was striking me through all of the three presentations, which I think were so useful and helpful, was how do students show the skills that they have that you talked about? For example, you talked about attitude, Klaus, and Alti, you talked about the superpower, and then Lobke, you talked about things like, trust and agility. How do they show that? And I'm asking that question in particular because a lot of my graduates are talking to me about the concerns that when they send in applications that AI is evaluating their initial CVs and letters. And so how do they make themselves evident that they have these sorts of skills that are being looked for?
Well, I mean, if I start, I think I had that one slide where I was kind of saying that the companies have needs that they know, they can recognize, and then they have needs that they don't know. And I think when a student contacts an organization, I think maybe it could be the first sentence where they say, not that I want this, I want to do this, I wish I would, this is my desire, but they turn the boat all around and say, hey, this is what I will this is what I will do for you, and this is why your company will, be more profitable, or this is the contribution that I will give to the company, or this is a resource that you don't have yet, and I give it to you. So kind of saying what your superpower is and how it will help the company strive better and better and make an impact. If they say, yeah, okay, we didn't even think about that, or then they say, yeah, oh, we were just missing that piece, then wonderful. If they say, we don't need your superpower, we're not interested, then they say so. But then keep on doing that. And what is it that you bring to the table? What is it that you are, kind of giving the company? How will they benefit from you being part of the team? So that would be my advice, and just straight on, like the first or second sentence. Hi, how are you? Do you know what you're missing? This is what I'm bringing to the table.
Fully subscribe. One thing to keep in mind, the vast majority in the tourism sector enterprises are small and micro, which means at this moment, I would not be very afraid that a family-run hotel will screen incoming CVs with AI. Not likely to happen soon, unless they put an employment agent in between. Then this agent will probably do it, but not if you send it to a private company. And be practical. Your first job will be something very likely, unless you have a brilliant academic expertise and you have a lot of things and make contacts, as I suggested, during your study time already, and some headhunter is looking for you, which is very, very likely. If you create a good profile, be aware, good people are always looked for. And if you are active in your student life, if you are active in association, if you are active in forums, you're part, they will find you, especially the more active companies. Otherwise, you will start working in a local hotel, in a local travel agency, where you more or less know the people know you, or they're in the same country. You will not get your first job, very unlikely, stable job, somewhere in a different country. May happen, but not very likely. So these entities still work with the first impression. The first impression is what I always tell people, or did when we employed external staff. I didn't look at the CV, all the notes and all the courses and all whatever they've done. I wrote in the first line where I asked for a job candidate, please start with a motivation letter. If this motivation letter, which can be 3 or 4 lines, like Alti said, why I'm interested, what I want to go. If this was a standard text, skip it out. If this was a 3-liner, skip it out. If this showed that somebody genuinely sat down and thought about what he was writing, this was in the selection process. Then you look, which has all to do with what I said before, attitude. And this is where small tourism companies work like. So it's not enough to have a standard AI-generated CV. AI does everything. Well, this is boring, and everybody will find out very soon that it's AI-generated. Be yourself. Give an edge. Show Kante geben, as we say in German. Show where you are good at or what you are, and also if you're aware, share what you're not good at, because this is what will call the attention in a private, small tourism enterprise, which is more than 90% of the enterprises you're going to.
Lotte?
Lots of interesting things have been said. I would like to make a personal reference, because when I started, I graduated on leisure and tourism management, and in no ways I could start my first job as a tourism manager. No way. So I started, I would say, way below my bachelor level that I had right then. But I saw the opportunity of building my network, building the experience. It was for 1 year, and although you might have different ambitions, but the process is part of that ambition. And that is something that we must not forget when you start your career, actually. It's a great way to build up your skills and to have the more versatile job you have with different kind of roles and responsibility. It allows you to develop your skills in the broadest sense possible, but also it gives you more of an idea what suits you, what not. So I agree also with what Klaus says, or in addition to that, a small medium enterprise is really a playing field basically for your future career, because there you can experience a lot. regarding the application, first start with investigating the company and what kind of developments or trends or societal challenges might affect the organization. So look it up. What are they working on? Look at the social media channels. What are they communicating? What are they offering? So get in the know of really the organization, the people that work there. Look them up on LinkedIn. You can even do that anonymously, but you will get more details about what they communicate of and what is really at their heart, and also use that in your letter. So be personal, like Alti and Klaus both say. Don't let it make by AI or whatsoever. It can also be, you can use that for a final revision, but make sure that the story that you write comes from the heart and is really personal, because in the end, people hire people and not letters.
Thanks. And so should they be using examples then to prove the things that they have in that motivation letter then?
Always, yeah. And it can be also not really relevant in a tourism sector, but maybe you have been volunteering or you have been working in a shop and you had to deal with a lot of customers and clients. So it doesn't matter what kind of job or what kind of sector it was, but as long as it's relevant for working in tourism sector, and today you get an idea of what kind of skills they are requiring, just mention it in some kind of way. Indeed.
Yeah, and
Also,
I would like to say that because now I see that if there are open calls for positions, the application quantities are huge. You know, you might have 800 applicants. So I would probably, if I'd be in that position at the moment, you know, just getting my thesis done, maybe, you know, I'm studying at a university or some sort, I would probably look for jobs that are not in open calls. I would, you know, direct contacts to companies, and even, you know, off-season contacts, you know, in a way that when we're off-season, they might have more time to, you know, reflect on my application and have maybe even a one-on-one discussion with me. But I would definitely look for, you know, ways in where they're not crowded. Open calls at the moment, at least in Finland, you would have 500 applicants straight off, and that's going to be very difficult to stand out of those 500.
yes and no. First of all, from the tourism entrepreneur side, you wouldn't believe how difficult it is to find a good candidate, because most do. They send. It's a cat that bites the tail, you know.
Yeah.
You put an offer and you get 800 standard CVs, because people just send blindly to whatever job is offered. They send the same thing out, and out of these 800, 700 are sent exactly the same to 10 other job positions at that point, because people. Somebody muted me.
You're back now, Klaus. We can hear you.
Because I had a message, I was muted, and I cannot switch to the video on either.
Okay, we can hear you, but we can't see you.
Okay, yeah, because somebody blocked my video. Okay, fine enough. If you can hear me, fair enough. So it comes back to this: be different. This can be a different design in the CV. Years ago, CVs changed from the boring standard Europass old style. They changed to be more visual. The first that did that caught the attention because it was something new. So be innovative. And another thing I would always recommend to everybody wanting to work in tourism or by extension any service sector, which is also helpful to earn some extra money in your holidays, go into some job that is related with sales, or helping out as a waiter in a restaurant in high season, and you will always find something. You learn a lot. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn out if this is really for you. And you learn a lot about how to deal with people and how to get quickly understanding before they open the mouth. You already learn to calibrate what kind of client is this. And that's absolutely essential in any job in tourism, because you always will deal with people. You always will deal with somebody who on one side wants to buy a service, but in reality, a visitor wants to buy fun, a positive experience, a positive ambience, and then the service has to be okay. But what he really wants is not just to sleep in a hotel or to book a flight, but he wants to be recognized and dealt with as a person. So if you learn this, it's very helpful for all your career, not only in tourism, by the way.
Great, thanks, Klaus. Dominique, I just want to check in with you. Oh, you're back, Klaus, as well. Your camera came back. Dominique, I just want to check with you. Are there any other questions? And maybe as an organizer, if you have any questions either before we wrap up?
Not really, actually. So yeah, I'm very grateful that everybody joined, and really as a first, I'm just glad for everybody made at least an hour, 30 minutes for this beautiful webinar, and I really appreciate once again. Thank you.
Great, and thank you, Dominica, for organising it for us. It's very, very useful and helpful for the Atlas community and beyond that too. So, just to wrap up, then I want to thank the panel members for their time and their effort and their really interesting presentations and discussion. I think that we've learned about the importance of differentiating ourselves, of self-assessing and thinking about what are the skills that we have or don't have, and also about thinking maybe about those competencies and core values and attitudes that we have and the importance of them that sometimes maybe we forget about and assume everybody has them because they don't, and we need to be making sure that we're prioritizing them as well. So anybody who is listening and who is looking for work at the moment, we wish you good luck, and we hope that there has been some help in the discussion today. And again, just to thank Atlas and to thank the panel members and Dominique again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for being
Have a
here.
nice one.
Goodbye,
Have a nice
everybody.
day and have a
Bye-bye.
nice summer break if it starts.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you.
See
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I ended everything.